I'm Heyzeus, and in this video, I want to talk about something slightly different to my usual topics. In particular, I want to talk about how CSGO skins have changed my life. It's sort of one of those success stories you'll hear people telling you about, but there's more to it than that. There's something important in this story that I feel like many people won't admit to, but I want to actually address it because CSGO skins have provided me with incredible opportunities, but the reasons for that are important. It's easy to lose sight of it today, but when I look back at the decisions I've made, it's incredibly clear. And I want to discuss this because I feel like there's something useful in it. Now, I've always hung around some pretty niche corners of the internet. I liked a lot of obscure submods growing up, and I've definitely hung around some dodgier places too. Not nice places. I've seen a lot of horror stories as a result, and up until fairly recently, I didn't really follow the mainstream gaming scene at all. In fact, not that long ago, a friend mentioned to me that he was going on the Misfits podcast, and I had to look them up. I didn't know who they were, and to this day, I still don't really know who the people in the Misfits are, aside from iNotorious, and it's just because it didn't matter to me. What's mattered to me is doing my thing, and the important thing is that I enjoy it. As far as anything else goes, well, I'm probably not paying attention, and in fact, funnily enough, the gaming YouTuber I was most familiar with for a long time was probably Darkside Phil, and not because he was a good Let's player, although he did get me into Soulsborne.
Nice boss!
Yes, Phil, fantastic boss. I went out and bought a PlayStation 4 after watching that thing push your shit in. But as much as I like Soulsborne, this isn't the story about how I got into that series. It's the story about how I got involved in a different game, CSGO. Now, I don't remember when I first played CSGO, but my Steam library does. It was the 21st of November 2014, exactly 1 week before the Olive Pass boost happened actually, and when I first started playing, I was terrible. I don't remember that, but I'm still terrible today, so I must have been terrible back then. Generally speaking, I was just another teenager playing the game. I didn't really care about skins. In fact, I cared so little about skins that I let other people pilfer my account and sell my drops so they could buy skins themselves. You can see that here. Around about June 2015, it seems like I tried to trade up based on my purchase history, and it looks like I may have opened a few cases soon afterwards as well, but there's not much here. I didn't take the game too seriously. I wasn't that interested in skins. It was just a game I enjoyed that I played a bit. Right up until I got to the 2nd of October 2015, because that day I had an idea. You see, at the time I needed money, badly. Not heaps of money, just an extra $100 or so a week, but I still needed it. And I didn't want to get a job. It wasn't super convenient to get a job where I was living at the time, but I mean, ultimately the reasons I didn't want to get one were more petty and personal than anything else, so I came up with the idea to try and make money by running trade-up contracts. I don't know where I got that idea from. I don't think I'd ever seen a profitable trade-up contract before. I hadn't been watching guides or anything like that. I just decided to give it a go. And after screwing around with some nuke trade-ups for a bit, which didn't go well, I figured out I could make a consistent profit from an overpass cobblestone mix trade-up, and from there, I got to work cranking out trade-ups. Now, I'm convinced this was a sliding doors moment. This channel wouldn't exist if I hadn't had that idea on that day, and I'm still not sure where I got that idea from. It was definitely an act of desperation, but it set into motion a series of events that led me to where I am today. But not immediately. For the first 18 months, I kept to myself and quietly did trade-up contracts in my spare time rather than get a part-time job. It didn't really impress my family or many of the people around me. They thought I was stupid for not getting proper work experience, but I enjoyed doing trade-ups. There was lots of tinkering involved that I liked, and at the end of the day, I was cashing out money through OP skins. Not heaps, but enough to keep me engaged. I started finding all sorts of new profitable trade-up contracts, new tricks and exploits to expand my operations, and as Valve kept adding more and more new skins to the game, I kept finding more and more new ways to start making money. I was succeeding at something on my own terms, and that mattered to me a lot. Now, midway through 2016, I did kind of have a near-death experience. Following a number of gambling scandals, Valve seriously considered removing the trading function from the game. They didn't, but they considered it, and if they had, I probably would have given up on skins altogether, but as I said, they didn't, and things continued on for me until I got to about mid-2017. And you see, By this point, I was having trouble pushing the trade-up contracts any further. It had sort of plateaued. There weren't that many more opportunities to expand what I was doing, so I wanted to try my hand at something new. And again, a lot of people told me to get a proper job, but I came up with a different idea, which was making a YouTube channel. Again, I'm not really sure what gave me the idea. I think it essentially just popped into my head, but I definitely had a desire to build up something on my own terms, and I was also pretty disillusioned by this point, and I think starting a YouTube channel was essentially an act of defiance. So, beginning in August 2017, I started cranking out videos. Bad videos, with really wooden narration and a microphone that was turned up way too loud. Hi, I'm Heyzeus, and in this video, in fact it's kind of painful for me to look at them nowadays, but I gradually did get better at making content. It still wasn't good, but it was much more bearable than it used to be, and as the Boston Major got underway in early 2018, I got a lucky break. You see, building a following on YouTube isn't just about having loyal viewers, it's also about having the algorithm actually show your content to people, and breaking into that can be really difficult. Luckily for me, I was able to do that though. You see, I came across a Reddit thread talking about how you could scrape away the backgrounds on the Boston Major team stickers, and decided to make a YouTube video about it. Now, this video went small scale viral and racked up around 50,000 views, and as I said, this was a lucky break. It was a lucky break that resulted in me getting a small but loyal following. I ended up with a couple of thousand subs and was getting 1,000 to 2,000 views per video. Not big in the grand scheme of things, but I know a lot of people would be very happy with those numbers. But in just 3 months' time, there would be a serious problem. You see, in March 2018, Valve introduced the 7-day trade hold, an update designed to stamp out gambling, and by this point, I was getting maybe 3,000 views per video. Not enough to monetize anything. I didn't have a day job either. All I had was YouTube and trade-ups, and the trade-ups were the only thing that was making me money. Well, for the first few months after the trade hold, the trade-ups weren't making money anymore, and the channel was still quite small, so I had no source of income. So, on the 11th of May, 2018, I uploaded what looked like it was going to be my final video and stepped away from CSGO. I didn't know if I was coming back, and I almost didn't. But again, a stroke of luck. I got offered a full-time job, and now that I had employment, I decided to start making videos again in late June. Shortly after that, I made my video on Captain Crunch, a really popular video that's done a lot to grow my channel. I had a blocked nose when I made that, so the whole audio is a bunch of 3-second sound bites stitched together, but more importantly, I made a video called The Craziest Ever Investments Explained. Another video that went small scale viral, and again, did a lot to grow my channel. This was another stroke of luck, and suddenly, I had more like 20,000 subs and 10,000 views per video. But despite this success, I still didn't stick around. In late September 2018, I stopped making videos again. There were some personal factors behind it, but it was also just that the strain of making videos and working a full-time job was becoming too much. It was just too much of a workload, and I wanted a break. And just like last time, I didn't know if I'd end up coming back. But as you obviously know, I did come back. A couple of months later, I started uploading again, late December 2018, and I've kept on uploading ever since. Now, I still have that full-time job, and you might be wondering how I've managed to keep up with working full-time and running a channel when it broke me just a few months before. And the reality is, I actually came back a slightly different person. I came back a lot more determined than before and just willing to deal with a huge workload to achieve the goals I wanted, when previously I just didn't have the willpower. And the other thing I've had since then is even more lucky breaks. Multiple videos have gone viral, I've gotten shoutouts from bigger creators, and most importantly, there's been a massive boom in CSGO's playing numbers. This game refused to die and has actually kept on growing. So I might have been willing to put in the effort, but a lot of other things went in my favour, things that I didn't control. And that brings me to today. I've been working on CSGO skins for nearly 5 years now. It's been slow, gradual progress, but it's been progress. And whether it's doing trade-ups, making content, or both, it's come a long way since the day I decided to start trading up skins to avoid getting a job. In fact, we've gotten to the point where this is my primary job. It's a job that a lot of people would kill for, it's a job that's making me life-changing money, but most importantly, it's a job that I really, genuinely love doing. And I've seen a lot of creators telling the story of their success, and it's often a story about how they believed in themselves and battled day by day to make the dream a reality. And when it comes to YouTube, you need that ambition to succeed. You need to be willing to swim through oceans of suffering to obtain the highest goal. But as someone who's made the dream a reality, yes, you need that ambition, you need that self-belief, but it's just a precondition. The most important factor is luck. There's plenty of people who have the ambition, who have the drive, but don't make it because they don't have that good fortune, and they generally aren't around to tell you their stories afterwards. You don't hear about them, but if we're going to be real, they're probably the majority of cases, and I've seen situations where it ends really, really badly for these people, and if I'm going to be honest, a lot of the decisions I made along the way only look good with the benefit of hindsight. My ambition was just as much a vice as it was a virtue. Today, I'm someone who's lucky enough to make a living making content about CSGO skins, but the key word there is lucky. That's how CSGO skins changed my life. Anyway, that's it for this video. As always, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.